So I wanted to talk about muscle soreness today. I had a question before summer break from a client addressing, you know, whether it's good to be sore, how sore you should be, and I haven't really had a chance to sit down and discuss it in detail until now. The kids are finally back in school full time. So muscle soreness is something people talk about or they want to know about. A lot of people, especially people that enjoy working out, associate muscle soreness as being a good thing. They think they should be getting sore fairly regularly, and they equate being sore with a good workout. Conversely, a lot of people that maybe are unfamiliar with working out or maybe don't like working out so much, they don't like being sore. Oftentimes, they don't want to be sore. They don't want to be uncomfortable. So it's important to understand why we get sore, what that means. Is it good? Is it bad? And sort of what things might impact that muscle soreness. So one of the most common things that are going to make us sore is introducing a new stimulus into your training or doing a new activity that you haven't done in a while. So this can be in structured strength training. This might be a new exercise that you haven't done before, or at least that you haven't done in a significant period of time. So anything that you haven't done maybe in the last 3 to 6 months, first time you do that new exercise, odds are it's going to make you sore. Um, this makes a lot of sense if you think about activities that you maybe do every single year outside of the gym, but not frequently, or they're more seasonal things. So think like things like gardening or yard work. If you that first time you go out in the spring and do a bunch of gardening and yard work, oftentimes you'll get soreness in your low back or maybe in your thighs or in your forearms, muscles you haven't used in that exact way in a 6 to 9 months. They're going to be sore. Also, you go water skiing or downhill skiing or biking or running, and you haven't done those things for over 3 months. Odds are the first time you do them, you're going to have some level of soreness. That doesn't mean that you're out of shape. That doesn't mean that you're missing something in your fitness program necessarily. It just means you're doing things that are new to your muscles that you haven't done in a while. And after you do it a couple of times, that soreness is probably going to dissipate, go away, and in most cases will no longer be an issue. So new stimulus is one of the biggest causes of muscle soreness. Another thing that might lead to muscle soreness is being under recovered or just not recovering well. So a few things that can lead to that, things like poor nutrition. So things like inadequate calorie consumption, just not eating enough food, uh, not eating enough protein. So usually we recommend at least um, zero point 0.7 grams per pound of body weight. For a heavier individual, you might want to base that off lean body mass if you're carrying extra body fat. But in general, about zero point 0.7 grams per pound of body weight is the amount of protein we want to shoot for. If you are dehydrated or not consuming enough water or fluids in your diet or in your day-to-day intake, we usually want to shoot for about a half an ounce per pound of body weight. That's going to fluctuate. If you're more active, you might need a little bit more. If you're less active and you don't sweat too much, you might need a little bit less. But about a half an ounce per pound of body weight is usually a pretty good spot to start with your water intake. Some other things that might impact your recovery are going to be sleep, not getting adequate sleep, either enough sleep or good quality sleep. Ideally, we want to shoot for 7 to 9 hours of sleep, and ideally, we want that to be relatively uninterrupted sleep. The last thing is just going to be stress management or the amount of stress you're going through each day. That can be psychological stress or that can be physical stress. So if you have a very physical, active, demanding job, that is going to impede your recovery abilities. If you have a very mentally stressful job, that also is going to impact your recovery abilities. So some of those things you can adjust. Some of those things you might not have as much control over, or you might not be able to adjust. So if you can't adjust them or are unwilling to adjust those, then the only thing you can usually adjust if you are chronically sore all the time is your training. So you might just need to scale back um, your volume of training. So how long you're working out when you are working out, how many sets, how many reps you're doing, things like that. If you're chronically sore all the time, and you don't want to be sore all the time, you're going to have to scale back if your training volume, not train as long or as many sets. Maybe try to do shorter workouts but more frequent. Sometimes that can help with muscle soreness. And then the other thing to consider is, does muscle soreness even matter? Um, and the answer to that, like a lot of things in the world of fitness and nutrition, is it depends. If you are chronically sore all the time, and you don't like that, and that makes you feel demotivated and stressed, and you don't want to go work out, and you don't want to go do physically active things because you're sore and tight and tender all the time, then I would say we probably want to make some adjustments to our training or to our nutrition or sleep or stress management so that we're not as sore, so that we don't get demotivated to be physically active and train. If, on the other hand, you associate soreness and sort of tender achiness with a good workout and progress, and that motivates you, and you sort of like that feeling, then it might not be a problem at all. The biggest thing we want to consider in most cases is, are we progressing? Are we able to make progress when we're sore? And that's pretty straightforward. If you are able to, you know, week after week or month after month, the longer you've been training, the slower your adaptations are going to be. But if you're continuously able to do more repetitions with the same weight, or you're able to constantly add a little bit of weight onto the bar, month after month, then that soreness is probably not impacting you in a negative way. That being said, you might be able to make faster progress if you weren't so sore. So again, you sort of need to determine, do you want to be sore? Do you not want to be sore? What is your preference? Um, if you are less sore, you probably would perform better on a given day. So if you wanted to, if you were competing in athletics and you wanted to perform at your best, ideally you don't want to be sore on game day. Likewise, if you want to test a one rep max and see how strong you are, you don't want to be sore the day that you're doing that. So for peak performance, we definitely don't want to have any soreness, any residual soreness. But from a day-to-day training progress standpoint, there's nothing wrong with being a little sore as long as we're able to continually make progress in the gym. If we aren't making progress though, and we are chronically sore, then like I said before, we want to look at addressing our nutrition. Are we eating enough food in general? Are we getting enough protein? Are we getting enough water? Are we getting enough sleep? Are we managing our stress well? If we are doing those things and we're still sore, then we need to adjust our training. We need to scale back our training volume. Possibly, if you still want to have that same weekly volume, you might need to do shorter workouts, but more frequently. So let me know if you have any questions in the comments. I'll be happy to answer them.